All right, well, let's change the subject here a little bit. Let's talk about something that is kind of the heart of the matter here for today's podcast on how to find a godly wife and pursuing her. Okay,
Not fumble the bag.
Not fumble.
Keep kicking the tires.
Yeah, inside joke. But we're going to tackle this, how to find a godly wife and how to pursue her properly.
Yep.
And, you don't find a godly wife by accident, and it has to be intentional. And just like I told you guys growing up, this is probably next to Jesus, next to having a relationship with God, this is the second most important decision that you'll make in your entire life. So I'd like to start with you guys. Maybe we'll start with Michael, and then we'll go into Elijah. Because, Michael, you've been married for 4 years.
Yep.
Right? And then you're engaged.
Yep.
So you're,
That's right.
The dating just got done.
Just ended. Yeah.
So you both
Congrats.
getting married in June. So you both, are fairly close to it. I mean, you're a little further. I'm definitely far away from it. 27 years of marriage. So
You're still young, though.
Yeah, I'm still young. Anyway, so Michael, why don't you start us off with telling us a little bit your story and kind of that dating season.
Yeah.
And specifically, like, what were you looking for in a woman? How did you find her? How did you pursue her? And what are some things you could actually help, the audience in learning on some of these things?
Yeah, I can for sure share my story a little bit. If you look at me, Elijah's, and Gabriel's story, we all found our wives in some kind of Bible training school. YMDTS.
Pretty much.
YMDTS. Gabriel was an IHOP Bible school, 10 years in church. But that would be one of the first things I would say is get around a community. But like the main thing I would say is go to a place with like-minded Christians, because that's where they're going to be. Go to where Christians are gathering, go to youth groups, go to young adult groups, get connected with people. Don't think you're going to find your wife sitting in the basement playing Fortnite and then checking Tinder, right? So I was actually 17, had never dated anyone before, never had a girlfriend, and mom and dad were running a YWAM DTS, and I kind of just like hung around the base all the time because I was half homeschooled, half public school, because I was playing for the public school's basketball team, and the requirement was you had to take 2 classes there. So like I would go do my 2 classes, and then I would literally just go to the base and hang out. And Hannah, she just started doing her YMDTS, and so all my friends are at the base, so I just go hang out, and I was like, oh, who's that? Type thing in my mind.
Who's that? That's it?
And so then I remember I got asked, because I did like photography and video at the time, I got asked to go be the photographer for this young adult conference. And Hannah, she's a worship leader, she was actually the worship leader at the conference. And this was actually like a month before her DTS. But I was at the conference, and that's where like she got my attention. I was like, who's this girl? And so then she came and did her DTS a month later. I actually remember at like a games night, I started talking to her, flirting with her a little bit, see what she was like. We started talking over text because obviously during DTS you can't have relationships. And it wasn't like anything crazy. It was just like a random little flirting. But then I got in trouble because one of the girls on the staff told you guys.
Because there's a rule.
Yeah, well, I
there
said
was a
that.
rule. Yeah. So
no
that rule was-
relationships.
so that was the important part.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah.
But they told them, and so then Dad got on me. And then I went in to apologize to Hannah for obviously breaking the rules and
being a bad boy.
her.
They're into the bad boys.
During her DTS. Fast forward like 6 months, she comes back from her outreach. Hannah had a little bit of a past of partying. She had a lot of relationships with a lot of different guys. Part of her testimony was she just found identity in what other guys thought about her. So she kind of did guy hopping, where she would go to guy to guy.
Getting
to guy.
validation from guys.
Getting validation from the attention from guys. And so she noticed that in her life. And so she comes back from outreach, and there's a little more backstory to that, but she pretty much was like, hey, I'm going to do a year with the Lord of no guys, just me and Jesus. And most of the time that sounds like just an easy excuse to be like, nah, I don't really
to
like
drop
you.
a guy.
Yeah, I don't really like you. But there's a little more backstory to it, but I was kind of like, okay, whatever. because it was really, there wasn't much to it. It was kind of just like an unspoken thing. And so then fast forward to 6-7 months, I start doing my DTS, and she actually she had already planned to come on staff for that DTS. And I was actually deciding between doing DTS in Kansas City or Medicine Hat. I decided to do it in Medicine Hat, and she was one of my staff. And
She was your staff.
yeah, like she
You
came on
dirty
staff
dog.
during that school. And so then we're going through the DTS, and I just was honestly wanting to see if there was any changes in her life from
Yeah.
her past. There was actually a specific dream I had, like I think it was like 2 months into my DTS. I saw, it was like a white room, and I saw a bathtub, and I was looking like straight onto the bathtub, and I see Hannah in the bathtub. I didn't see her naked. No, it wasn't a Bathsheba situation. And it was just like her head, and I could see that she's in the bathtub. And I forget, there was like a song. Do you remember this? There was like a song playing.
Yeah, by
Lily's
Christine
song.
DeMarco. Yeah.
Lily's song. There was a song like playing in the background, and then I heard, "Don't pursue until you." And then there was oil falling like over her. Again, I didn't see her naked, and the voice said, "Don't pursue until you see the results of the washing." And so then I was like, "Wow, that's pretty wild." So I think I wrote it down, and I honestly was just paying attention, just watching how she was around guys, seeing if she was flirting with guys, seeing if she had still residue from her past.
Yeah.
And it was like night and day different. Like she wouldn't even, like a guy would come around and she like would give a short answer and then just walk away.
Oh, that's fire.
And then like there was like just like a bunch of stuff like that I was watching. And even like with me, like she didn't really flirt with me like she did before. It was like very short conversations. I noticed that in her, and I liked it. And so then I go on my outreach, and I didn't talk to her at all for the whole outreach. I think her birthday was during my outreach. I think I just sent her a happy birthday text. But then I come back. There was still a little bit undecided with mom and dad and her on if she was the right person to go after, because a lot of things in her past we didn't know fully if she had
Yeah.
accomplished what she was setting out to do in that year. And so it actually was like, I think it was a couple weeks after I came back from outreach, and me and dad were actually working out at the gym. We're like walking around the track at the end, and dad goes, "Hey, do you still like that girl?" I'm like, "Yeah, I still like her." And then he's like, do you want to go to a movie with her with our family? I'm like, "What?" Because low-key, I thought mom and dad didn't really like her. There's more backstory to it. But so then I was like, "Yeah, for sure, definitely." And so then I go, I think I called her, and she didn't pick up, and then I texted her. And then I was like, "Hey, my family's going to a movie night. Do you want to come with me? And me and Bella will come, and my sister will come and pick you up." She says, "Yeah." And then we go to the movie. It was super awkward because I was young and socially awkward, honestly. Didn't know how to communicate super well. And Bella was a lifesaver sitting in the back seat. So we go through this movie night. We just got to know each other a little bit more. We go for dinner after with the family. And then after she tells me she wouldn't have said yes if I would have asked her a day before, because the day before was the last day of her year. And it wasn't even like, I didn't know when the end was, and it wasn't even my idea. It was dad's idea. So that was kind of wild. So pretty much fast forward a little bit, we did an intentional friendship phase for 5 or 6 months. I can't remember fully. Where it was pretty much I hung out at her family's house. She hung out at my family's house. It was all in groups. If we did hang out one-on-one, it was really just over FaceTime or eating somewhere in a public place. Just because I wanted to kick the tires, like dad said, just see what she
You
was
wanted to
like.
see if it was
Like if her past was her past.
evaluating.
Yeah, I was just evaluating, asking very specific questions, being open and honest. And then 5-6 months later, started dating, got engaged a year later, and then we got married and moved to Kansas
Now
City.
you got 3 kids.
Now I got 3 kids.
Well, with dating, I mean, dating really is kicking the tires.
Yeah.
It's really an evaluation stage.
Yeah.
It's not about, marriage, meaning fully. It's actually just to see, is this person, not just do we vibe?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
much
Or
more than
are we
that.
Is she-
I think we get, guys and girls get infatuated pretty easily, and then you don't even see properly the relationship. You don't see properly that person. And so I really believe in the evaluation stage and kicking the tires And not only that, having other people involved
Yeah.
to speak into it
Yep.
with veto power. And so obviously my first go-to would be parents involved. But if, they're not good parents, or I should say godly parents with godly wisdom, then who around you could be that person?
Yeah.
So that's my viewpoint on this, and obviously you guys agree with that. Elijah, why don't you tell us a little bit your story, because you're fairly new to this. You're engaged, so your dating season just kind of completed. Tell us a little bit of yours.
Well, before I go into my story, I kind of want to talk about what I wanted in a girl beforehand.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a kid, I would literally lay in bed and imagine what my wife looked like. Where is she at right now? I was like one of those type of kids, I guess. But I always wanted a girl that wanted a lot of kids. That was a deal breaker for me. I had that in my head. Then I wanted low maintenance. I have it written down and everything, but the main two ones was one wants kids. I'm attracted to her, and she's low maintenance, and low drama is the one that I also wanted, because I was just like, dude, after reading Proverbs, I was like,
It's better to be on the corner
yeah,
of the roof.
yeah. It's like I don't want to sit on the corner of a roof, but
The rest of my life.
It's not very comfortable.
But so I met her in Orlando. Her name's Elizabeth. In the DTS, no dating, but God knows we flirted a lot.
Well, there's no rule on no flirt.
No flirting,
no
but no
flirt,
dating, but we flirted. But the things I liked about her was one thing.
Preface. We gotta tell a little backstory to you going to DTS. Yes.
Yes, that's right.
We all go to Dallas for
We're
a family
on a
trip. We all go to Dallas on a family trip, and we're just like,
We do a family night where we're
Yeah, we're
gonna
just
Am I
talk.
there?
Yeah, you're there. We're all praying. We're gonna pray for each other, and so everyone's gonna give a little bit of an update.
Tell it. And so we're all going in a circle saying like,
What's your prayer request?
like updates on our life, and then a prayer request. How can the family be praying for you? And then we get to Elijah, and this guy goes, I like women. I don't want to be distracted during DTS. That's literally what he said.
Just like that.
And we were dying. We're like,
And he
you
kind of
like?
paused. I like women.
I was like,
Pause.
I was like, what, bro? You like women? It's like, what is that?
Guys, just
Guys, I like women.
guys, pray for me, guys.
So let's
Deep
go.
intercession.
Go
here.
back in your story. Go back to your story.
Wait, was that? I just said
That
that
was
like
it.
You're in school.
because I didn't want to be distracted. I was like,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
girls, no girls, no girls. Week 1, bro. I started flirting with this chick. No, it's like day 3 actually.
Okay.
But I met her. One thing I check every time I like a girl, guaranteed 1,000. Like the first thing, almost like as soon as I say, "Oh, I think she's pretty," right after, like probably minutes, I look up her Instagram.
Have to.
You have to look up their Instagram. I always look up. I was like, chick's modest. I was like, that's awesome. That's really what I want. Because one of the other things that I had on my list was doesn't look for attention from guys. A main thing for me. So I was like, she's modest. And then throughout the entire DTS, we flirted on and off, but we didn't really like confess feelings like that until probably right before outreach. Because it was like a 3-day before outreach. But we started liking each other. And then I was like, I didn't know if I liked her yet. It was kind of on and off for a bit. But then I knew I liked her right before outreach. And then I really started, because I need to say this part though. So she tells me she likes me after we're flirting. Okay, she tells me she likes me. I was like, dang, that's crazy. So I tell her I liked her. But I was waiting. I was still flirting with her, seeing if I liked her because I wasn't sure. And I wanted to be sure before I say I like her, so I'm not like I didn't want to be up and down with my feelings.
Did you respond to her like I like?
I
you too?
said but so I was in these highs and lows kind of. I was like, maybe yes, no, yes, and I wasn't gonna tell her. I was just gonna wait until something was consistent. And so she tells me she likes me on a high, okay, and then I tell her I like her back. Probably a week goes by. I'm like, I don't know, dude. So I tell her I don't like her.
Dang.
I know. So then so we go on Christmas break. We come back for Christmas in Orlando. That's how they do it there in DTS. Some DTS you're on outreach. But we come back and she starts acting like herself. Like she's super like fun. I'm like, man, I'm super into her personality. Because I think during that Christmas time after I said I didn't like her, she was like, bro, I'm done with this. And just stopped
I'm
caring.
just gonna be myself.
Yeah, I'm just giving myself, I'm done caring. And then I was like, this not Karen thing. I'm enjoying this. Like, you're a fun person. So in that week before outreach, I really liked her. And then we flirted and talked a little bit on outreach. And then I called with her while I was in Mexico. She was in Africa. And I said, no talking until after outreach, because you can't date during DTS.
Yeah.
So we didn't really talk pretty much the whole outreach. And then we started dating right after outreach. And then we've been dating like 2 years. And now I got engaged in August, which is fire. And we're about to get married June 6th. So something like that.
Well, let's jump in. I'd love to help the audience, anyone listening, any guys that are listening, thinking about how do I find her? Where do I find her? What do I do if I do find her? Is she potential? If she's not potential? What characteristics to look for? A lot of times this information or this kind of stuff is taught to girls, but a lot of times they're not taught to guys. And me just being a dad of, I have 5 sons, this became really important to know to help my sons. And so I had to learn it myself. So I'd like to teach other guys on some of this stuff. So I'm just going to go through what should I be looking for? So I want to just go over some questions. Now, guys have to be intentional. They have to be looking
with everything.
Intentional about everything. But it's not like winning the lottery. You don't just get lucky or you just have bad luck. One, Michael just said, you have to be in around the right community. That is key. If you're in the wrong community thinking that, she's
and it's like an intentional search too.
Right.
Like going to those churches, even specifically, if you're interested in a girl and there's one church that doesn't have any girls in it and young people in general, and there's one that does, and you're a single guy and you want a wife, go to the one with the single girls and the young people and have community. Go talk to them.
Yeah. Right.
And I
build friendships.
Be intentional.
Yeah.
Is my point there.
Yes. Find out through the friendship community. So, because the Bible says this, Proverbs 18:22 says, "He who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord."
Yeah.
So the word find, you have to go looking. It's a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Another verse in Proverbs 31, verse 10 says, "An excellent wife who can find."
Yeah.
She is far more precious than jewels. So it's a treasure hunt.
Yeah, and I actually want to hit on something like that. I've actually noticed in society, even growing up as a teenager, the temptation for guys to be lazy and passive. And what I've actually noticed is society has kind of turned into that, where the girls are the ones pursuing the guys. Like, I remember playing basketball growing up. Girls would always be asking, this is not to gloat, but they were the one pursuing me when I was doing like literally nothing. Like, I'm just playing basketball. They'd coming up to me after
normally
game,
like
asking for numbers,
it'd be
trying
the
to
guy
take
doing
pictures,
that. Yeah.
asking for Snapchat and Instagram and all this stuff. But it's kind of reversed, and guys have kind of sat back and are like, oh, the girl will just find me if they like me. But no, just like how the Bible says, you have to go and find the girl. You have to be intentional, and you can't be passive. Once you find that girl and you be intentional, she's going to respect you so much more because you actually took the steps
100%.
to go and pursue a relationship and a friendship.
Yeah, so let me jump into some questions that men need to ask when looking for a girl, okay? So here's my number one question that I think guys should be asking. Does she have noble character? So if you don't know what is noble character, then you're not going to ever find her.
And what is noble character?
Noble character, like the integrity, honesty, faithful, generous, giving, kind, all those types of characteristics that are noble. But if you're not in the community of friendship, it's not by looking at her Instagram that you're going to find, does she have noble character or not? I mean, you can see a little bit, but not much.
Yeah.
It's very shallow. So you got to go build a relationship with her, a friendship, so that you can find that. Number 2 question, and you kind of alluded to this, is she modest?
Yeah.
1 Timothy 2:9. Is she modest? And this one was a big one. I think we've talked about this many times. The reason why Elijah went to the Instagram to check her out, and the first thing you look for is she modest? What is she revealing?
Yeah, she having any of those little like weird
booty pics.
Yeah, like dude, if there's booty pics, immediate no. Like,
not just that, those pictures, just all sorts of pictures that are revealing her body in inappropriate ways that should not be shared with the world, but should be saved for you.
Yeah.
And so if you're the potential husband.
Yeah.
So is she modest? Number 3, Will she follow your leadership? Is she willing to? Is she humble? Or is the feminist mindset already there? Otherwise, guys have been given a mandate to do something in your life, a purpose. And the Bible was really clear that it's not good for man to be alone. He had a mandate to be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth. He also had a mandate to tend and to keep. And so a wife is supposed to be a helper. That's not lesser. That's supposed to be a helper to solve the issues of life together.
Yeah.
So is she willing to go where you're going? Is she willing to do the things that you're wanting to do in your life? Does she want to do some of those
I actually have something I want to add on that, because there's certain things that I had for myself as I want to talk about non-negotiables.
Yeah.
And like things you want in a girl, because not necessarily because she could have noble character, she could love the Lord, she could be faithful, humble, be a good wife, except there could be something like she wants a lot of kids. Maybe you don't want to. Maybe you don't want a lot of kids. Maybe you do. But one thing for me is I want a lot of kids.
Yeah.
So she could have all those things, but even the evaluation stage doesn't always have to do with even character. It also has to do with what do you want your life to look like. And I wanted a ton of kids around in my life.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, even when you're sitting around, think of stuff to evaluate even yourself before you start evaluating what do I want my life to look like. And then when you're pursuing that girl, be evaluating not only character, but does this match with, this is an absolute for me. If I don't get this, I don't want this girl.
Yeah.
Because there could so be girls out there that have that check everything on my list. But if there's this one thing that's absolutely non-negotiable for me, I'm not pursuing it.
Yeah.
Because having kids is a really big deal to me.
And really, Elijah, what you just said though, is also you valued yourself and you valued that non-negotiable. You wanted that so badly. And I think some guys are willing to compromise on some of these things. Number one, they may not know it. Number two, just because she's pretty, they're willing to compromise some of those values because she's pretty.
But I think a lot of guys also don't even have those type of conversations with girls.
Yeah.
They don't ask because they don't even think
with
about it for themselves.
Or even with themselves.
Yeah, they don't
Exactly
even think about it for themselves to even ask.
Right.
Because like if maybe I thought by myself I want a lot of kids, but like you haven't even talked to her about it, but you're already 4 months into dating. What is that?
Wild.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't even have started dating that girl if I knew that she didn't want kids. Because I'd be like, that is one of the biggest things I want that I will never get. It's just that like in those aspects, don't waste your time.
So let's go another one. Another question that guys should be asking is, can you provide the lifestyle that she expects? So, a lot of times, especially if you're a young guy, you don't know the amount of money you can make. You don't know what you're going to be doing as far as career or assignment in your life. But you can find out what does she want in her life, and can you actually afford, or do you really want to give your life up to actually pay for those things that she's desiring? Do they line up with your vision in the future financially? Is she loud? Is she quarreling? Is she foolish? Is she unfaithful? Does she have drama? You mentioned the drama. But I think this is a big deal.
Yeah.
I think it's a big deal because do you want peace in your life later on? Because there is no, you buy that is for life.
Yeah.
And so this whole idea of do you want that type of woman next to you? And is she quarreling, fighting, gossipy, all this stuff? You want that?
Yeah, 100%. Because also when you have kids, you really create it. You know this because I'm really similar. You create mini me's. Because you're gonna have, if you have a daughter, they're gonna be like the wife. So like all the family drama you hear about, all these families are like, oh, my family is crazy. I'm like, it's probably because the dude chose a dramatic girl, just gossiping, and then their daughters all get together and they gossip. And I'm like, in our family, maybe it's contributed to like a lot of boys, and mom's just like a treasure. She's just great. But like we don't. Like, I've never experienced a crazy amount of drama in our family like I hear from a lot of other families. And I'm like, I think...
You got the cops coming, too.
And I think a big contributor is definitely the woman you chose. Because she kind of, especially if you are a working dude, they're cultivating a lot of what your house is like in terms of peace.
Yep. I think the husband really sets the tone, the direction of the vision of the home, of the family.
Yeah.
But the mom sets the culture and the tone.
Of the house.
of the house.
Yeah.
So that drama, the level of the drama is really set by her.
Yeah.
And so you really want to kick the tires on this one for sure. Is she a one-man woman?
Yeah.
So this really has to deal with flirting.
Yeah.
So when you get into that friend group, seeing if that girl is flirting around,
Yeah.
No,
No.
for sure.
checking a bunch of guys out. When you guys watch movies, is she going like, oh, that guy's cute, and that guy's cute, and that guy's cute, and all this stuff? Then what happens is, where do you fit into all this? Because if she's interested in that guy, really, are you going to be number one in her life later on?
Yeah.
So that's the question.
And a way you can even find that out, because sometimes you're not going to find it out in an infatuation stage, because she might like you, you like her, and you're not going to, because usually infatuation lasts like 6 months to a year, where it's like that you both like each other and it's all emotions, feeling based. You can find out by hanging out with her friends, hanging out with her family. What is she like in a group setting when there's a bunch of other dudes that are also good looking guys? Like, how can you gauge that and see how she responds in conversation with other guys?
Yeah.
And that's a way to tell
100%.
that.
Okay, so here's another one. Is she hardworking? Another question. Is she hardworking? Does she bring in profit? Does she do tasks? Does she bring in finances? Proverbs 31 speaks this. Proverbs 31 is a proverb written to a son from a mom. This is what to look for
In a woman.
in a woman. The mom is actually teaching the son, this is what to look for. Is she hardworking? Or, as soon as she gets paid, is that money leaving? Because that's probably going to be happening to you too. You're working, you're bringing in the finances, and it's gone because it's not valued. And
Yeah.
hard work maybe not be valued. So I think guys should be asking, like, what time does she wake up in the morning? Is she waking up at 2:00 in the afternoon? Or is she actually getting to work? Is she building something? Is she building her own vision right now? Because those things are going to help you determine, do I want a woman that I have to always be pushing? I remember Jonathan said that I wanted a woman, because I asked him this question a long time ago.
He's our uncle, his
Yeah.
brother-in-law.
My brother-in-law, and kind of had invested in your guys' life. And he wanted a woman that would sharpen him. So when it came even to career and, for him, it was ministry. So he wanted a woman that would sharpen him in his relationship with God.
Yeah.
I think this has to do with it as well. Is she willing to build, work hard and build finances along with you? Because that's what you're going to be doing for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So I think it's an important question. Another one is,
She might just be working at Starbucks.
right.
And she just has to go to her shift. Like, sometimes you're not going to be able to figure out, is she hardworking? But one way you can tell is, one of my non-negotiables actually for finding a wife was, is she teachable? Because if the woman is teachable, one, there's going to be way less fights. There's going to be way more repentance. There's going to be way more forgiveness. And when you confront her with something in a good way, it's not going to be defensive. That was literally like one of my biggest things in terms of character. I was like, I just want
Because
a
you
woman
want
who's
somebody who's
teachable.
going to grow.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if you can't grow, then it doesn't matter. Like, because you might not find out if a girl's hardworking at 18 and she just works at Starbucks.
true.
But if you see that she's a teachable person and she's willing to change when you confront her about something, then that's a good characteristic to go
Yeah.
after.
I mean, that had to be you too. Because,
Yeah.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
had to be teachable
Well,
too.
honestly, everything on this list, because I see a lot of like, I've literally seen this happen where like guys get together or girls get together and they'll like rate guys and girls and it's like, guys, what are we doing here? Like,
You mean they're on their looks.
Oh,
yeah, like they're rating people on their looks. It's like, guys, if you're not these things on your like imaginary list, if you're not the thing on the list, then stop making this list because it's dumb.
yeah.
Like, make a list, and it might not be for the person you're looking for. It should be the list that you're trying to become. Because if you're not a teachable
Because
person,
you attract
what you become.
what you are.
If you're not hardworking, but you want
You
a
get what
hardworking
you
wife,
are,
like if
basically.
you're just chilling in the basement playing Fortnite every day, eating chips and pop, and you're like, oh yeah, I want a girl who loves to work out and
And it's just a fit.
be a fit. And it's like, dude, you have a pot belly and you play Fortnite all day. It's like,
And you're only in your 20s.
Yeah,
It's
it's like, bro,
your
come
peak.
on.
This is supposed to be your peak right here.
it's like, bro, go be hardworking if you want a hardworking woman.
Okay, next question
Next
you should
one.
be asking is, do you want your daughters to be like her and your sons to marry someone like her?
Yeah.
Because she's literally going to be raising your kids, and do you want that all around? You're going to multiply that. So this is an important question.
For generations.
I like this question a lot because I think a lot of guys can learn a lot. Man, do I want my daughters to be like her? Do I want my sons to marry someone like her? Because that's what's really going to happen here.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. Another question is, how does she treat her dad? Now, this was an important one for me. How does she treat her dad? How does she treat her siblings? So is she honoring to her dad? Does she talk good about her dad? Or does she just care that her dad is bringing her money?
Yeah.
Or does she have a relationship with her dad? How does she view her dad? I think that's an important question. And maybe she doesn't have a dad.
Yeah.
So how does she view men then? I think you should be considering
Men in authority.
that. Men in authority, yep.
Yeah.
And siblings.
Actually honoring to authority.
Right.
Because that will actually show you if she's going to be honoring to your authority in the future.
Right.
Like if there's someone above her and she's always talking behind their back, bashing them, she's going to do that to you.
100%.
Yeah.
So another one is she a gossip? Is she in other people's business? If you are around a woman who is gossiping about other people and involved in other people's business.
Yeah.
Oh, so she gossiping about maybe a fight you guys had? Oh my gosh, that'd be terrible. 100%. Because if you have a fight and then she's gossiping, oh my gosh, Elijah
tells
did
everybody
this
else
and
about
this. Oh, he did this.
Yeah.
And then you guys, now her friends are mad at you and the girl's mad at you. You guys could make up and then her friends are still mad. And you're just like, dude, this is crazy. It's just a headache, really.
And it's only going to get worse. If she's doing that in dating, it's going to get worse.
Multiplies in marriage.
Multiplied. So this would be a huge one to look at.
Yep.
Here's another one. And I think this is fairly new for me that I put this on the list. Does she want to be around your family? Does she want...
That's a good one.
Does she like your family? Okay? Does she like your family? Because is she going to encourage you to be around your family, or is she going to separate you from your family? So I see that a lot because, if she's wanting for you to hang out with her family, but I'm not going to hang out with that family so much, yours, during the holidays, during Christmas, during even this hangout nights, let's go hang out with my family. And they don't want to, you got a red flag. Run away.
Yeah.
Because if she doesn't want to be around your family, you're in trouble. You love your family. Hopefully you do. And even if you don't have...
She should still be trying to meet the family, even if you had a bad family, honestly. That's what I think.
She should be building a bridge
Yeah.
to your parents, to your siblings. She should,
Especially before marriage. This is a pursuit season
Right.
you're talking about.
Right.
So, yeah, definitely, because you guys aren't one yet. So, yeah, definitely even be...
big red flag
Big
if she's
red
not.
flag.
Yeah.
Another one is, what does she want? And you alluded to this earlier. What does she want in a family? Okay? Does she want children? Does she want kids? What do you want? And I'm not even talking about the number of kids, but
Yeah.
what's your heart towards kids? Do you want to partner with a person, a woman, that wants kids too, or not so much, not the value system?
Or, like, even it could be even something like, I want my family and us to be in ministry our whole lives. But she doesn't want to be in ministry. That is going to be a tough conversation when it comes up.
Yeah.
When you have made it your whole life. I want to be in ministry and she doesn't,
Yeah.
or vice versa. But if you have had this, like me and Liz have had conversations where I want to start a business and make money, so then I don't have to raise support. Nothing against the raising support lifestyle. I mean, I grew up in it, but I want to start a business, and then our end goal is to be in ministry. I mean, if you have these different viewpoints on what your life is going to look like, and she's had this thing her whole life and you've had this thing, and they're both deal breakers, that's going to be a conflict later
For the rest of your marriage.
for your whole marriage. You're going to be fighting about what are we going to do,
Yeah.
rather than becoming a couple powerhouse and just destroying the ministry realm or
Yeah.
a business
Or whatever it
realm,
is.
whatever you decide.
Like
It
willing
should
to
align
change with that vision.
yeah, or you're at least going to compromise in a way where you are both going to just become a powerhouse couple in whatever metric you decide.
Because it's hard to do something when someone's not, like if you're always fighting the inside
Yeah.
and you're trying to do something on the outside.
And obviously there's going to be disagreements, but are you also being a person that is also able to compromise, and vice versa for her, in what are we deciding in little things and big things?
That's good. So hopefully that was helpful on answering questions, while you're evaluating what type of girl, where she should be, what kind of girl you should be looking at. I think those questions are going to be pivotal for you to jump in on.
And I would even say, like, with what we just talked about, because I've seen in like the hyper Christian niches of people, I've even seen like the whole thing where it's like, oh, God told me that you're my husband or my wife. Don't do that. It's not going to work. Okay?
Yeah.
Just never do that. Usually with hearing God's voice when it comes to those type of scenarios, there's a lot of flesh involved and you're probably not thinking clearly.
She just prayed. That's
And
it.
another thing I've also seen is people over spiritualize relationships so much.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, bro.
I have seen this so many times with girls where they like a guy, they start a relationship or an intentional friendship, and then they're kind of turned off by something, and then they use the excuse, I feel like God's telling me not to do this relationship. I don't feel peace about it. Just start with an intentional friendship phase. Get with a couple that you like their relationship, get advice from them, and then just ride it out and see if there's a person that is ready for marriage. Don't just be so up and down, ran by your feelings. The Bible even says that the heart is deceitful above all else. So don't listen to your feelings.
And also, I think there's an intentional aspect, even with, because like a man's pursuing, you're supposed to find the girl, be intentional. But there's also, I've seen this thing where it's like, I'm just waiting for God to send me the one.
My Boaz.
But there is things definitely a woman can do to be intentional about getting the guy. Also, the girl should also become the list that they make for themselves.
Yes.
So that takes intention. Can't just be like also wanting a fit guy, but you're not. You know what I mean?
Cool.
And so you're sitting there just like, God, I'm just waiting for my Boaz to just come up on my doorstep. And I'm like, bro, you literally have a 300 list, 300 things on this list, and you are maybe 5 of them. So I think guys and girls should do that, but there's also some intention that girls can also put in.
Yes.
But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. There's a lot more to dive into this topic, but that was just a little bit of it.